Buongiorno from our home in Sicily. We're going to head to downtown Catania in the World War II Museum for one of the most sobering, factually rich, and fascinating museums I've ever been to.
I'm a history buff. I'm a World War II buff. I'm a Sicily history buff. And believe me, this is the best €4 deal I ever saw in my life. That's how much a ticket costs to get in here. Please, please, I beg you, put this on your list to visit.
The museum is 3 levels, and it starts out simple in an everyday piazza in somewhere in Italy, and then there's a crescendo, and wait till you see the end. Believe it or not, this was once a sulfur factory, and today they've turned all this area into cultural places. This is the Museum of Cinema. And there's several other museums and things around here. €4 each.
L'Italia e alla Nuova Zelanda dichiarano guerra alla Germania. Gli Stati Uniti e il Giappone. Il luglio viene presa a Palermo e conquistata interamente la Sicilia occidentale. Nel porto di Catania, nel gennaio del 1941, gli aerei britannici decollati da Malta bombardano nuovamente la città etnea, provocando però pochissimi danni e solo qualche vittima. Le isole di Pantelleria, Lampedusa e Linosa, dopo intensi bombardamenti, vengono occupate dalle truppe britanniche. È la prova generale di quella che sarà l'Operazione Husky, la battaglia di Sicilia che in soli 38 giorni porterà le truppe alleate ad occupare interamente l'isola. L'armistizio è sottoscritto dai generali Giuseppe Castellano e W.W.II Smith, a nome rispettivamente di Badoglio e del generale Eisenhower, che la guerra contro gli alleati è finita.
Il governo italiano, riconosciuta la impossibilità di continuare la impari lotta contro la soverchiante potenza avversaria.
You start here at the museum in the square that's typical of the 1930s here in Sicily. And there's different bedrooms, offices. So let's take a look. Of course, back then, still the mode of transportation were the Sicilian carts. This is one of the shops.
Tante città della Sicilia bombardate, è un vedi a ciclo continuo. Io comunque vi spiego.
I gotta tell you, this is one of the best museums I've been to in Sicily for sure. It's incredibly detailed, very self-explanatory, lots of original video. There's the Gulf of the Gela where the Allies first landed, and then here's a great explanation of where each of them came from. So the Americans over there, Licata, Gela. It's pretty big and pretty modern, and there's about 3,500 pieces of all types of things like this, which is fascinating. It has the dates up there, and then how the Allies were able to move fast, the British and the Americans. And then it even has where the Italians, see, there's the Italians running away, and they went all the way up to Messina. You know what's so interesting in that movie is something so important that actually the armistice was signed here in Sicily, and it was signed in a town called Sicily in the province of Syracuse. And do you think there's a sign or anything up there that says, hey, this is where the armistice was signed? Nope. Lots of great pictures. Look at this of Caltagirone. Now over here are some of the old uniforms. Different leaflets. These were some of the uniforms that the children wore. Here's the fascist uniforms for women and men. Next to each one of these cases, with the different weapons and uniforms, there's a great explanation, both in English and Italian. So, helmet from the 1933s era, hand grenade. You know, if you go to Palermo, there are some areas, especially in the downtown area, there are areas that you can still see the bombings. Palermo suffered big time. And yes, there was the Marshall Plan, but not all of it was used to rebuild Palermo. And listen to this interesting story that one of our guides, Gabriella over there in Palermo, tells, that her grandmother, still when there's a festival and there's fireworks, that she still has nightmares and has a little bit of anxiety because she was in downtown Palermo when there were the bombings, and now she still has flashbacks. And here we are in the American section, our good old men and women. And if you're a military person watching this in the United States, thank you for your service. Thank you for providing freedom to us, for ensuring safety of people. And I know Sicilians, for sure, are very grateful. April 25th, I was just invited to an event right here back at the museum that will commemorate Liberation Day, because that's what they call it, Liberation Day. And there's going to be some dignitaries, including people from Sigonella. So I'm thinking of coming. What do you guys think? And to our Canadian friends, thank you for your service. Here's the Canadian section. The American, Anglo-American Navy, the German, and the Italian Naval. These interviews by people 20 years ago, many of them no longer exist, but they talk about the war, the knowledge, and she talks about how lucky it is that she stayed alive. These type of bunkers you can see all over, including some of the highways in Catania or even some of the smaller towns. Three levels. This is the third level and final level. Again, includes battle scenes. This is actually in Gela. Great detail, all the towns. It went from Gela and how they went up north and finally got to Messina. Passed through all the Enna towns, Mistretta, Ceriami, Troina, Nicosia, Petralia, and Palermo. To say this museum is sobering
lascia segni a distanza di tempo, quando tutto è passato e la vita
is the
ritorna
least I
normale.
can tell.
Segni che riguardano tutti,
Least I can
non
say.
solo chi ha combattuto al fronte.
These pictures and these videos are heart-wrenching. Number of dead, 8,000 civilian, 170,000 Americans. Great Britain, 330 military, 250 military for France.
E quindi il braccio diventa tutto frantumato, tutto appeso. Tentavamo di togliere il cappuccio della penna. Non si poteva togliere, assolutamente. Non vedevo che era sangue.
E che cosa c'è una
Scoppiato. Mentre era la ragazza che giocavo vicino a casa, molto vicino a casa, ho urtato col piede qualcosa, probabilmente era qualche spoletta di qualche...
Gli attacchi degli alleati, nonostante la loro intensità, non riescono a impedire la ritirata delle forze dell'asse.
Messina was blasted as well. They had a tsunami, World War II, lots of destruction in a very short time. Wow. And of course, Americans were left to rebuild and help Sicilians get back on their feet. This is probably the biggest room over here. Has the weapons. The Italian and German command force. And on the other side are the Anglo-Americans with Eisenhower, Churchill, Roosevelt. There's Churchill and there's Roosevelt. War
Siamo in missione. Da questo momento inizia il silenzio radio. Passo e chiudo.
Propaganda. And here are the Italians, Mussolini and Vittorio Emanuele III. Here's Sicily. Questa è la terra originale, look at that, that's the original. No. Here's the signing of the armistice. There we go. And it was signed several days, or it was signed and then announced on several days after, because the Americans were worried that the Italians would change their mind. So it was actually around announced on the 8th, but signed, I believe, on the 3rd of September.
Sì, questo, invece quello è il civile.
Credere, obbedire, combattere. That's still around. Across the street
Believe,
from Una.
obey,
And fight.
and fight.
That was his credo. And there's Mussolini right there.
That's the cemetery where they're buried near the airport.
Motta Sant'Anastasia, la statua riproduce quella che c'è nel cimitero di Motta Sant'Anastasia.
There's 4,000.
Senza parola. You know what that means? That means without words. I'm literally struggling to put to words what that museum was like. All types of emotions. So much death, destruction, and to see some of those areas of, especially Sicily, that are now reconstructed. And just 80 years ago, they were rubbles. Places we've taken to many times, Catania, Messina, Palermo. All the people with lost limbs, lives shattered, dreams shattered, homes shattered. I think that was probably one of the most interesting, moving for sure, heart-wrenching museums I've ever been to. Unbelievable how many movies they had, pictures they had. Listen, if you're in Catania, you cannot miss this museum. I would say put in about 2 hours to come here, for sure. I want to say thank you very much to the staff there at the Museum dello Sbargo. They were very, very helpful, very nice. We're going to hear from the architect and director in just a little bit, but it was a fascinating experience, as I said. And one of the things that we got is this booklet, and it's in English, by the way. They have other languages, and it goes through some of the things that you found in the museum. But as I said in my reaction immediately after I came out of the museum, that left me such an impression, and it was a good reminder of how war is just not necessary.
You know, I was impressed by the fact when I saw the statistics on the bombing in Catania. Catania was bombed 87 times. Can you imagine that? More than Palermo, which was bombed 67 times. Okay? And Messina, which was bombed even less. The devastation, which we knew about here, is beyond unbelievable. That's point one. Point two, what a schmuck Mussolini was. First of all, his whole army got slaughtered in North Africa beforehand, and they came here with no air cover. So now you have the Americans and the British with all these planes, all these tanks, right, crushing the Italian foot soldier, who, by the way, fought very bravely, okay? They had nothing else except their pea shooter guns and very few tanks, 1920s aircraft, so they got slaughtered, okay?
So let me tell you, one of the things we're going to be listening to the director or an architect of that museum, who was so nice and so helpful, and he's going to talk about something that perhaps you already know. We, of course, know that everything happens here in Sicily first, because here is where the key lies. You look back in past wars, going back to the Punic Wars and other wars, Sicily was in the epicenter, and just like World War II, they had to come to Sicily first before moving up north. And so now let's go listen to the director.
Questo è uno di quei musei che nel bacino del Mediterraneo è unico nel suo genere, perché racconta quei 38 giorni necessari per la liberazione dal nazifascismo.
So this is a very unique museum in the area, in the Mediterranean, to recount 38 days of the liberation of the fascists here in Sicily.
E quindi perché è importante questo museo? Dicevamo perché racconta quei 38 giorni necessari dove l'asse alleato decide di attaccare l'Europa nel ventre mollo e viene individuato in Sicilia, nella Sicilia sud-orientale. Questa azione anfibia è la prima azione anfibia di invasione così massiva, che in un certo senso precede Anzio e Normandia. Tanto è vero che buona parte delle persone cadute sul campo cadono per manovre sbagliate di approdo, per affogamento. Il messaggio è sempre lo stesso, che la guerra rende tutti, perdono tutti con una guerra, si esce tutti più poveri da entrambi gli schieramenti. Il messaggio è sempre quello, che la guerra è l'ultima delle opzioni e chiaramente porta un sacrificio umano, e quindi il ricordo, la costruzione della memoria, di non correre lo stesso sbaglio due volte. Che questo è il messaggio del museo, un grosso messaggio di pace sostanzialmente. La posizione dei siciliani ormai è storicamente documentata nel corso dei secoli, perché questa terra, per la sua fisicità, la sua centralità nel mar Mediterraneo, è stata sempre protagonista di risoluzioni di grandi... Sempre, ma già nel periodo tra la guerra nel 477 a.C., tra greci contro etruschi, tra greci siracusani contro etruschi nella battaglia di Cuma. La battaglia tra Atene e Sparta si conclude sempre qui, su questo territorio. I greci siracusani alleati con Sparta mortificano l'esercito ateniese, tant'è vero che 6.000 soldati principi ateniesi vengono rinchiusi nelle cave greche a scavare, e ne veniva liberato per l'appunto uno l'anno e veniva mandato ad Atene per ricordare in che stato si trovavano i 5.000 prigionieri italiani. E nel 43 di nuovo.
Ma primo è Garibaldi con un 1000.
Ma anche con Garibaldi, quindi è una terra...
Sempre c'è la chiave.
Considera che nella guerra tra Sparta e Atene, il mondo civilizzato dell'epoca era il Mediterraneo, quindi il conflitto tra Sparta e Atene era un conflitto mondiale, era come Russia contro America. I ragionamenti sono questi, quindi è un territorio di risoluzioni di grandi eventi bellici e di firma di armistizi, e quindi qui si risolvono i grandi conflitti bellici, storicamente parlando.
Grazie mille.
Di nulla.
Grazie.
Di nulla.
This was a terrific video in my view, so I'm going to ask you for two things. Number one, please like it, and number two, please share it and suggest others to watch it. But most importantly for you first-time watchers, if you're not part of our community, we would really appreciate you supporting us. There's a button right down there that says join our community, and essentially for a cup of coffee.
We've got two levels, $1.99 and $2.99.
We have two levels, $1.99 and $2.99 a month. You support our work. Okay, now we're just starting after 10 years. How does that sound? To tell the story of Sicily. We know a lot, we have a lot of places to go.
I mean, can you even imagine this museum? We've been talking about going to this museum forever.
Yep.
We finally got to do it, and we're so happy that we're able to bring it to you.
And I really want to thank the Directore, who was very gracious to us. You know, they had a rule about not allowing filming and so forth. We asked to meet him, and, you know, he let us kind of bend the rules, so to speak. Esther got free range of the whole place. So this video that you're seeing today, that you saw today, is not generally available on every touristic site. So, in my opinion, that's what I wanted to say today.
All right. Thank you so much for staying here with us. Remember, we also do tours of Sicily, so if you're interested, go to www.youmeandsicily.com. All of our tours are down there. We have our end of June, early July, 4th of July party tour open, so there's still spots over there, and that's about it. Thank you again for watching, for sticking here with us, and ching ching.
Se benediga. Grazie mille per tutti.
Ciao.